How's it going, everybody? I am Preston Johnson.
Welcome to
Last Word Cheetah, brought to you by Bets TV.
As a general philosophy.
That's exactly right. You're a fish.
Qwan, by the way, my producer, Qwan Young, doing a good job. He'll be taking the calls. How you doing today, bud?
Hey, man, how are you?
We appreciate you guys tuning in. Welcome to the show, Bets TV, bringing you Last Word Cheetah. How is everybody doing today? Welcome to Last Word Cheetah, brought to you by Bets TV. I am Preston Johnson here in the Bets TV studios, your host, alongside a New York Giants moneyline bettor, Qwan Young, co-hosting, producing. Switch it so they can see your sign. Like I texted you, LOLOL, and his response was
bruh.
Just, bruh.
Bruh.
That was on the offside.
Oh, my God.
Like, there were so many. I mean, Slate.
There's so many bruh moments.
The catch, did they kick the field goal?
The worst that nobody's going to say anything about is Jason Garrett throwing a pass on third down. Like, they already surrendered that they were going for a field goal.
I'll say this. Look, Jones kind of missed Slayton, too. Like, it wasn't the perfect throw, although Slayton got his hands on it. He should have caught it, right? Okay. But you know who also should have caught the third down was Shepard, but Jones threw it like 2 feet behind him on a very elementary
slant route,
going across the middle of the field, throw a slant pass. And it's probably right on the line of scrimmage, the first down marker, and maybe they're short and they kick anyway. But it runs 30 to 40 seconds.
Yeah.
So either way, Jones just has to make that throw, or Shepard reaching backwards like this can probably bring it into. There were so many little things that you guys should have taken that W somehow ripped away. But I got to say this before we jump into our show today. 661-515-BETS. Call in. We'll talk through weekend games, week 3 college football, week 2 NFL. And then I'll go through, pick a side in every college football game. And near the end of the show, the Moneyline Underdog Round Robin. Heineke's throw for the TD where he just kind of like threw it up high, end zone side. Was it Jones that caught it? Comes down, gets 2 feet in. That was one of the better throws I've ever seen.
Doc, he's good.
Because when for one, he had someone coming at him, and he pumped and he like stopped, and then he like regathered and threw again, and he just had to put it up high in the one location he could come down with it where the defender couldn't. And just the accuracy of that throw was insane. I feel like just because of that play, they deserved to win. And then on 2nd and 7, they throw, and he throws the pick to even set the Giants up to begin with to retake the lead. They almost deserved to lose just based on that. So I didn't know who was going to win or who deserved to win, but I'll say this. I give them credit, Ron Rivera and company, for actually throwing, because they got one more first down. That game was basically over, and the Giants weren't necessarily expecting pass. So you make that happen, you probably win the game right there. But the defender, the defensive back, jumping out around in front and like bringing it in, it was a fantastic play too. It wasn't necessarily like Heineke's fault. No. And people like, aren't you running the ball there? It's easy to say after if they complete it, the game's over.
And you're smart. Yeah.
It's one of those things. So anyways, it was a fantastic game. I'm sorry that you lost.
Listen, man.
All these primetime games have been fun.
Hey, no more money line bets over this way. If you see me betting money line,
you had +4 option for Qwan fades, and you're like, no, +175. It's because I pissed you off telling you shouldn't bet the Jets because Danny Dimes has their number. And you're like, no, they're going to win the game outright.
No more.
And it cost you.
No more money line bets. We're going to learn this weekend. You're going to learn today, Qwan.
All right. Do we have anyone that's called in yet? All right, let's just get straight to the calls because I got to cut you guys off earlier today so I can run through my entire college football week 3 stuff that I do on my Friday show, kind of the back half. So who's up first? You just said.
Alex from Ohio.
Alex is up first. All right, bring him through. Alex, welcome to the show. What do you got for us this weekend?
I'm going to take the San Francisco Giants -1.5.
Oh, gosh, he's chasing a little Giants losing streak here. I hate it as a Dodgers fan, obviously. They're going up against the Braves. It's not necessarily like a pushover team. Why the -1.5 and not the money line? Just trying to make it cheaper?
Because I already hit it at like -147, so I guess I'm not trying to hedge, but I guess that is what I'm trying to say. And, I think I'm just fading this recency bias against the Giants. They've been on a little losing streak, and I think they're just conversation with like the Rays, the A's, the Astros, and like the Red Sox, and be one of those teams for the next 5 years.
Okay, so I can give you -1.5, -123. So we'll lock you in for the run line there against the Braves. With all the football on the board, I respect it. Alex is coming in hot with the San Francisco Giants on the diamond. Good luck, sir, tonight, and we will talk to you next time.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yep, take care. Who's up next, Qwan? Who do we got? Jamie from Atlanta. Welcome to Last Word Cheetah, man. How are you doing?
Hey, what's up? First time caller.
Right on. We appreciate it. What are you looking at for the weekend? What do you want to bet?
Hey, man, can I take some Korean baseball? I know it's obscure, but that's my sport.
Yeah, just 1 second, Jamie. He's kind of cutting out, but so was Alex a little bit too. So I'm not sure if everyone's hearing that, but repeat, Jamie, what you were just saying real quick. One more try.
Yeah, it's cutting out on YouTube. I was seeing if I could get some Korean baseball.
Did you just say Korean baseball?
Yeah, man, I know it's obscure, but that's my sport.
Okay. Tell us what you like. We'll go to KBO. What's the play?
All right, I am looking at the Dinos under 8.5. I know there's 9 and 8.5 out there. I've seen like 9 -120, 8.5 even. I would go 8.5 even, and like, get like 9 -110, 15. Got a couple strong arms out there. One of the American guys going tonight for the Dinos, and one of the better pitchers going for the K2 is. So I know it's obscure, but I figured I'd stay in my wheelhouse for my first call in.
Okay. Well, Jamie, we apologize that you're cutting in and out for your first time calling in, but I got most of that. I think he's going to NC Dinos. It's KBO Saturday under, he said 8.5 even money. There's a 9 at -115 I can give you, which I think's a better option than going 8.5 at even money. So we'll lock you in for that. KBO. Feel free to call in whenever you get a chance in the future and hit us with all the KBO, because none of us have actually been doing much KBO. So we appreciate the call, Jamie. Good luck this weekend.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right. Sure. I'm guessing it sounds like that on the stream, right? Okay. It's like it's basically like you hear 50% of the syllables, and if you're really paying attention, you can get what they're saying.
You lost me at 50%. Half.
So I was trying my best, but yeah, it was working fine before the show when you called.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. You just want to reset the system and then have people call back in? Okay, that's fine. No big deal. Just give me a heads up when it's back in business, and we'll have people call back. I can start going through every game on the college football week 3 slate. Oh, there's 48 on Saturday. When I do these, I've always posted them Friday night. I've talked about it in the past. Yes, Qwan, you can just leave the board up there. That's fine. But now that we're doing them earlier, a couple hours, because of this show on Fridays, there are 2 Friday games. Like, everyone kind of likes Louisville tonight. I kind of disagree with it. There were -6s and halves yesterday. Those are gone now. It's back to 7. So for what it's worth, I actually lean the favorite for both. Maryland -7, Central Florida -7. But those aren't on the screen. Those are tonight's games. For Saturday, we started off Miami. That's one that I talked about on Monday. I do think's bettable at 6 and 6.5. It's pushing 7 a couple of spots. So I'm not sure if it'll hit there. I understand why people like Sparty. Miami hasn't necessarily looked good for 2 weeks, but priors baked in, everything. I had this like double digits, so I have to bet under a 7. Michigan, Northern Illinois, pretty ugly. There's 26.5 at circa. Everywhere else is 27.5. I'm just going to take the 26.5 because I can. Would not bet that game otherwise. This is one that Pikachu called in. He does the tail end segment, likes to bet a lot of big favorites or big underdogs. He liked Army -34. There's a 33.5, but my numbers, as bad as UConn is, like this run of the next 3, by the way, UMass, Temple, it's ugly as hell. But like, I got to go plus 34.5. I think it should be like 31. So I'm just sucking it up. in an option game that fewer possessions. Hopefully UConn can get one stop and score once, and then they're covering. UMass, like nothing really there. I just think it should be 20, so plus 22. Temple, this one actually got bet a little bit today too. It's been bet down throughout the week. Boston College, I believe, is out. Jerkovich is their quarterback. I'm not sure about the backup. He looked good last week against UMass, but so did Qwan last week against UMass. I just have to go with look, I've done Temple last week. Was it Akron who they played? I was ugly. They were laying 6.5 on the road. They went down 14 right away, but after losing by 50 to Rutgers, this team is just out of control. They did end up beating Akron by a bunch. I'll take 15 at home against Boston College's backup, who's probably just going to try to run the ball and, again, slow the game down. We talked about it as an under at 59, 58.5 earlier this week, down as low as 56.5 now. So that's one. Vatek plus 2.5 game I think should be lined pick, and at 3 it would have been a buy. 3 never really existed all week, though, so not one that I've been able to bet on my end. Buffalo is one. 14.5 now in the market, and there were some guys calling in. Colin liked him at 13.5. I know one of our callers had him at 13.5 earlier in the week, and the Coastal just gets the steam. Look, Buffalo's a team. They just lost so much of what they're doing. Coach, personnel, and there were some quotes I read from Coastal Carolina's coach yesterday about them wanting to get back to the run game, slowing the game down and dictating pace. So under 58, 57.5 is something that's worth considering, I think, in this game. That's the best edge. I'll take the points just because numbers a little bit inflated now, going through the 14. Nothing in Western Michigan, Pittsburgh, although steam warning, by the way, on Wednesday with Right Angle. That was their release over the 57.5. Moved up as high as 60. It's kind of settled in more like 58.5, 59. But I wasn't really – my number's 59. I didn't necessarily love it, didn't hate it. When they released it, I did find out later that day that a few hours before they released it, Western Michigan's defense, it was confirmed that 3 of their defenders are out for the game, which is maybe part of the reason they went over. They probably were liking over to some degree regardless. Now Western Michigan going up against a Pitt offense that's been really good. Out 3 starters on defense. That being said, I think 15 is just a little bit too high. I'm not betting the game, but just have to take the 15. But I would be concerned if you weren't aware, Western Michigan dealing with some defensive injuries. Qwan, before I get on to the next one, is it fixed? Is it reset? You think it's good? All right, we're going to stop on Nebraska, Oklahoma. We got through the first set. We'll go back to the calls, and then we'll finish this up later. No big deal. Who is up first?
Everybody call back in. I just got everybody off the line.
Oh, you're saying it just reset now?
Well, I reset it, and they were calling in. I was letting you go through your sides.
Yeah, but is anyone on the line currently?
Well, now there is.
Okay, then we can take it. Now. I wouldn't have switched if we didn't have anyone on. All right, what's up? How's it going? Welcome to Last Word Cheetah.
What's going on, guys? How are you guys?
It sounds beautiful. It's not cutting out. We are happy. What do you have for us this weekend?
All right, man. I do apologize. I'm walking right by the train, so if that happens to go by.
It's all good.
So I'm looking at Utah in a nice bounce-back spot. San Diego State coming off a pretty big win. They've played 2 atrocious teams thus far. Utah has looked absolutely dreadful in both their games. But I think they're very undervalued right now. Coming into the season, they were a pretty trendy pick to win the Pac-12. They still have all the same pieces there. Great defense, great coaching staff. I really don't understand why this number is still so low. I don't love that it's above the 7. That key number is always important, but I still think it's a pretty good spot.
So we will lock you in for that. A little bit of context on this game. 7 was something Monday that was still around that I like the Utah side as well. I think it should be closer to 10. It moved to 9.5 yesterday, and someone bought it back on the San Diego State side. So I think it's probably just going to sit now in this range, although I will say the later moves, the Friday moves come Saturday morning, tend to be the one that kind of dictates the movement if it moves more on Saturday morning. So that being said, pointed all that, maybe this gets back down to 7. I wouldn't necessarily rush to lay 7.5 now. You might be able to get a 7 by tomorrow. based on the info with the Aztecs taking some money earlier today. So I just thought that was interesting market movement throughout the week. But I do like the Utah side, and I can give you the -7.5 right now. But for anyone else listening, you might be able to wait and get a 7 on the Utes.
It sounds like a good live bet situation. I had a quick question for you too, though.
Sure.
I definitely like the Utah side as my bet today. But what do you think about the Marshall Eastern Carolina under? A couple great defenses. Eastern Carolina's offense versus South Carolina was basically non-existent except for their first trick play to get the game started. Then Marshall is always up and down with their quarterback play as well. Then, like I said, a couple of good defenses.
Let me look at what my number is for this. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head because I didn't look at it this week. Means it's probably close to where the market is. Yeah, I'm at 59. So it moved up. I know it opened lower, and by the time I was looking at totals, it was up to 58 by the next day. But I'll say that at this point, your read is probably correct just from a sheer market perspective in the sense, like if you're betting over 58, 58.5 when it was lower on Sunday and Monday, you're paying a premium, right? If anything, it's overcorrected the other way. Maybe betting it down is the way to go. I'm not betting the game, but I have no disagreement with your angle there either.
Okay, yeah, it feels like one of those just grinded out in the mud type games. I think Ehlers, he's been there for like 6 years, and just horribly inconsistent. And same thing could be said with the quarterback play at Marshall. So,
sure. And at one last
guys,
point, look, Circa opened this 53.5, and I know they're not gospel by any means, and they're opening first, and all credit to them. But like their team of guys thought 53.5 was closer to fair. At this point, you can get 5 points better. So it's just something to note for people that aren't aware. When Circa opens Sundays, like they're generally pretty sharp. So it's at least something to consider.
Appreciate it, guys. I'll let you get to the other callers.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks.
Good luck this weekend, man. Take it easy. All right, Qwan, who's up next? Patrick, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Preston?
Nothing at all. Just getting ready for a weekend of football. What do you have for us?
Same. You know what? I'm going with the obvious pick, but I think it's the right pick. Chiefs -3.5.
Ooh. Okay. Break it down.
Okay. Well, Ravens, they have a banged-up offensive line, especially with Ronnie Stanley. And more importantly, they have a banged-up secondary. And, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't this game played in Baltimore last year and the Chiefs were a 3-point favorite? So with all the changes, with the offensive line problems, with the secondary issues, and I know you just count the running backs, but they still have running back issues as well. Does it seem like there should be more than a half-point movement on that line?
From last year's line. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, the Ravens are coming. It's the same kind of part of the same handicap as the Steelers game too that I like, where the Ravens are coming off a short week too, a short week from overtime, traveling back across the country. That's not what you want when you're playing the Chiefs. I just still think it's short, even at 3.5. And I don't mind the hook as much on a higher total like this.
Sure.
I sense that you kind of disagree with that play.
I know early in the week I said on Monday, before the Monday night game, I said, look, we like the Raiders plus the 4. If you want to get out ahead of the Ravens, maybe having some early season issues with all of the mix-up on the running back offense side, plus Peters and company on the defense, lay 2.5 with Kansas City before the Monday night game tonight. So that was one that I just thought could only go up, and it was probably a little low anyways. My personal projection in a vacuum is close to 3. So if anything, if you force me, I'd take plus 4, but I'm definitely not super interested in it. And I thought the -2.5 offered some value. So no, I don't disagree. And you're right. Just looking at it from a market perspective from last year to this. And if people don't remember that game last year, Andy Reid just brought out everything. They were running every possible screen and bubble and trick misdirection.
Yeah.
And I think I actually said this exact same thing on Monday, but they wanted to beat the Ravens. They're one of the contenders for a potential seeding in the playoffs. At the end of the year, you want to make sure you have the head-to-head win. So it makes sense to me from multiple angles.
Yeah. And I mean, the Ravens like to blitz, and if there's one quarterback that you don't want to blitz against, it's Patrick Mahomes. So I mean,
Yes.
Well, I mean, I just think it's short. So
Cool. We'll lock you in for the 3.5, man. Good luck this weekend.
all right, have a good weekend. Bye.
See ya. All right, who's up next, Qwan? All right, Tom, welcome to the show, man. What do you got for us this weekend?
I got to go against the first caller. The Giants losing streak started last night. Give me the Braves money line.
All right, bro, just going straight for the money line. Don't even need the 1.5. I can give you plus 157 on the Braves. I know you've been rooting for this. You've been calling for a Giants losing streak at some point. This would be a big one. 3 straight would be awesome.
Be like taking candy from a baby.
I hope it's that easy. Tom, we'll lock you in. By the way, and Tom, thank you for the call. Good luck this weekend. Patrick, we forgot to mention when he was on, he is second. I know you showed the leaderboard. He's up 3 units. There's so much pending for this weekend from people that have called and locked in football plays Monday through Friday now. We'll have a brand new leaderboard Monday that'll be pretty sexy. We'll see. I know Andrew's up there, Carlos and Patrick, right? Were those the top 3? Yeah, we have a ton pending. So we will see where that ends up. Go ahead and patch through. Who's up next? Hey, Brian, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hey, Cheetah, how you doing?
Doing well. What do you got for us this weekend?
I think I'm just going to make this a Friday tradition for me, and I'm going to go with the Patriots money line again.
It did not work out last week somehow. You should have won that game multiple times. Let me just look on the screen real quick and see what the best price is. Minus 249. I'll give you minus 249. Any reasoning other than I think you said you were a Pats fan last time, right?
Yeah, I think I would rather make minus EV bets with my heart rather than my head. And so rather than trying to give a narrative that it's just, whatever, I'm just going to pick, what I want to happen, I guess. That's my reasoning.
I've actually never thought through it that way before. Like, if you're already assuming or just know whatever you bet, there's no edge, then bet on the stuff you want to win instead of trying to pretend that you know something in your head. You'll just feel better about betting with your heart. I like that, man. I respect it. We'll lock you in minus 249. Go ahead.
Yeah, I tried making my own numbers last football season, and I didn't do well. So now I'm just back to, having fun and, betting what I want to happen. And I happen to enjoy that more, and I probably lose about the same amount.
I was just going to say you probably are way less stressed and you have more time and you can just enjoy it. So not a bad read after 1 year of kind of going crazy, I imagine. Cool, man. We'll lock you in. Good luck this weekend, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Go Pats.
I know some guys, by the way, that laid the points for what it's worth. Oh, no. I just got a text from the wife. Oh, my kid, he's in TK. He was student of the week. Shout out, Owen.
Yeah.
Good work.
Let's go, Owen.
He's way worse at home, apparently, than he is at school.
We got Jim from Philly.
Nice. All right, Jim. Patch him through. I'm in a great mood now. My kid's doing well at a little pre-kindergarten that he's in. What do you got for us this weekend?
I'm licking my wounds a little bit on Giants money line, but I thought I was going to get a told you so moment on taking the points there.
Look, Qwan did the same exact thing. I feel bad for you guys because you really should have won that a couple different times.
Yeah.
It's so tilting when you go, here's the thing, I forget the number off the top of my head, but in the NFL, and last year it was an incredibly high number, but a really high percent, the points don't actually come into play. The team that wins just covers anyways, right? The team that wins, it's a dog, wins outright. Usually, it's not landing in the 1-3 range, so the +4 matters or whatever. It's like 80+% of the game. So a lot of the times when you do like dogs, there's a kind of inherent value just betting the money line, but you think, oh, I need the 3 or the 2.5. That's not necessarily true all the time. So I didn't hate the play in theory. Just sucks when it actually lands 1 or 2 or whatever, and you guys get screwed over. So rather than needling you for another minute. Let's move on. Let's pretend it never happened. Look ahead. What do you like this weekend?
So I love the Cardinals. I took every future I could get my hands on. Super Bowl, Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury. They were my big team coming into the year. So I
mean, just
think
because of
I
one
wanna
game?
get ahead. No, I took this all preseason.
Preseason. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, for a lot of reasons, but yeah, I'm trying to get ahead of the market because I really think they're going to take off, and there's no difference this year with Minnesota from last year, and the Cardinals just got way better. So, I mean, this line to me is super small just because of how highly I rate the Cardinals. So I'm going to lay the 4 here.
I can give you 3.5. It's moved down quite a bit. I know we've had Drew Dinsick in studio before earlier on one of the shows. He took plus 4.5. So he likes the Minnesota side. It's a pass for me. I definitely respect Arizona. I also think there's a chance Minnesota is just not as good as I had rated going into the year. We'll find out soon enough, but I can give you minus 3.5. You don't even have to lay 4. There's a ton of 3.5s now in the market. It's been moving down slowly. But, I mean, good luck with the futures. It looks really good for 1 week. I just initially thought you said you were grabbing all of them this week, Kyler Murray and Super Bowl and everything, which I was going to say hold your horses. But if you got great prices now, if you were looking over the summer.
Yeah, I mean, I still think there's value for people to jump on board. I really believe they're the team to beat this year. They're my dark horse.
Okay. We will lock you in, man. Good luck this weekend. Thanks for the call.
All right, thanks.
Who do we got up next? All right, Ty, welcome to the show. Got to start trucking through these, Ty. What do you like for the weekend?
Real quick, Cheetah, my youngest brother's name is Owen, so we got that in common.
There you go. I'll tell you real quick. All right, I just said we got to truck through these, but I got to interject now. I have 2 kids, first a daughter, second a son. I got dibs on naming the daughter. And so my wife was just like, no matter what, like, I'm naming our son. I'm fine with Owen. It was good. It worked out. But she got to pick that name since I got the first one. So it's a little unique. It's Aline.
Aline?
Aline. A-L-I-N-E. It's French. When I lived in Portugal, I met someone named Aline, and I just thought it was a really pretty name. So I always wanted to just name a daughter that if we had it, and then she was first. So that's why she got dibs on Owen. Anyway, I digress. Ty, what do you like for the weekend?
I'm going with Penn State because of the defense, the whiteout. I don't really trust their quarterback and the controversies, I guess you could call it, surrounding Franklin and mutual interest with USC. But if he wants to leave, he can go, and we'll take somebody else. But I'm taking Penn State because of the defense and the whiteout.
Man, I was surprised. Now I know it's kind of come back to 5.5, but someone out there that influences the market pretty heavily midweek, like the Auburn +6 side, went to 4.5. There's still 4.5 I see on the screen. But I'm with you. I like Penn State. I think Bo Nix and Auburn are pretty overrated. They've played essentially 2 FCS games so far. And, yeah, I'm with you, man. We'll lock you in.
Bo Nix
Good luck.
is going to have another thing coming to him when he sees the whiteout and he can't even hear himself.
And he can't hear. Plus, he just can't throw a football very well. Let's remember that. Take it easy, Ty.
All right. Thanks, man. Have a good weekend.
All right. Who's up next, Qwan? And how many do we have on the line? Cool. We'll take these 3. We'll lock them in. Carlos, what's up, man? Welcome back to the show. What do you got for the weekend?
I like the Rams. Give me the Rams.
Why is
Carson Wentz,
that?
show me what you got. Because I don't believe in Carson Wentz.
That's like my favorite. The first play I gave out on the week was the Colts, so now I should probably be doubling down. It was +4, 4.5 at the time, though, on Monday. So you at least get 3.5, -108 on the Rams side. But I'm what's the word?
Enthused.
I'm not trying to like make him feel bad. He knows I'm excited though that he likes the Rams and I like the Colts. Like that's what I'm trying to say.
Unbothered, unmoved.
Yeah. Look, Carlos.
Unfazed, yes.
Here's the thing there's a couple times a season, especially these early week NFL games, and Drew was in, and he's the one who actually brought this up a couple weeks. He said the team that he was way lower than market on. Everyone was loving Stafford and the Rams. Preseason was the Rams, right? So he's like, I'm hoping on primetime they crush the Bears and that somehow Seattle just runs away with it against Indianapolis on the road. By the way, Carson Wentz didn't play all preseason. The first half against Seattle was like hey, let's figure some stuff out. They were a lot better in the second half. They also schemed a little bit differently, and it's a similar cover 2 type defense the Rams run that Seattle does. So I think the Colts are going to be fine, but this line never would have been over a field goal if we didn't get the results, in my opinion, that we saw in week 1. So how much stock are you putting into like half of a preseason, Carson Wentz taking his first snaps in Indianapolis, and Rams going up against the Bears? Like, I don't know. I think there's a ton of value on the Colts. Qwan disagrees. He's a Stafford homer. He's got the MVP bet. Carlos will lock you in for the Rams, but just reiterating, I disagree pretty heavily with this one. Good luck, but not really.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Later. All right, who did you say was next? It's a Joey? Cool. Joey, welcome back to the show, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. What's going on?
Nothing much. Nothing much. Getting ready for a big weekend of football. What do you like this weekend yourself?
For today, I want to lock in Patriots money line parlay with Denver.
Okay. We haven't been doing parlays this month because everyone does crazy parlay stuff at the end of the month trying to play catch up. But
a teaser?
You could do a teaser if you want for the same. This one's basically each one goes to pick. I'm fine giving you that, and I'll just give you plus 100 for a little extra value. You want to do that? Even money on a teaser?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why not just lay, for example, you could lay 5.5 with the Pats. I'm not sure if that entices you more, or you just want to have a little bit of each.
Nah.
Okay.
Exactly. I already bet Pats minus 3.5.
Oh, you did mention that earlier.
Just for the sake of this show, the teaser.
It doesn't actually hurt you if it loses on this show. So that is fine. We'll lock you in plus 100, man. Appreciate the call. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks. Take care.
Austin from Wisconsin. Has he called in once or twice before? Cool. I remember Austin. What's up, man? How are you doing? Welcome back.
What's up? What's up? I just had to say what an easy cash Coastal Carolina was last week. That over cash, I think, in the third quarter.
It was pretty quick. Yep.
Give the people what they want. Some Friday night action. We're gonna go with Louisville plus 7 here. Gus Malzahn's looked good, but he's been at home. I'm hoping Louisville's rocking. And I think that defense is a little improved. I think people are disregarding what Ole Miss did to them. I think that offense is one of the best in the country, and I think Louisville can cover the 7 tonight.
Okay, I respect that people are going to the well here with Louisville. Their defense was great against Eastern Kentucky. They held them to 3. And you're right, you can't look good defensively against Ole Miss. It's just impossible. Even Alabama, right? Like, it's just not going to happen. So you could be right, and there could be upside. I know Cullen Wilson, we had on Wednesday, talk through how these dogs of 4 or more, when they're going up against a team playing their first road game, there's finally fans everywhere. They're like 12-5 against the spread. This would fall under that umbrella, if I recall. You're getting a 7. Look, my number's 6.8. I stayed away from the game. But there is, I think, still a downside to Gus Malzahn Central Florida offense versus Heupel for like what you're seeing him do in Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
And maybe there's, Saturday figuring out Satterfield. I keep saying Saturday whenever I reference Satterfield. But Scott Satterfield, there's they can't be much worse, right? Like, they've just not shown what you would expect. Like, it's kind of a buy low, sell high spot. So I respect it. I like it, and it has moved down to 7. It even went to 6.5 yesterday, and then it popped back up.
Yeah, I was
but
holding tight. Missed that 7.5, but okay, sounds good.
Cool, man. Good luck
Appreciate
this
it,
weekend.
Preston.
Talk to you later.
Yep.
We're clear. Everyone's waiting for me to give my soliloquy now on week 3 CFB. I need to read something. Do you want to sing someone a song for 15 seconds? Go ahead.
I am singing this song to you, Cheetites. Are they Cheetites?
Cheetites? Wow, I haven't heard that before.
Cheetians? The cheetahs. We need it.
Okay, so there's going to be a change to the Moneyline Round Robin. I've made the decision live during the show.
Uh-oh.
I needed to make sure and do a little bit of math. So I'm going to text you. I don't want to say it live yet.
Okay.
All right, so pull your phone out.
This is a mystery. I'm intrigued.
If you don't know what those 3 letters mean, I can spell it out to you. I'll just send another message. Might give someone a hint of what it could be. So we're swapping one. Look, there were a lot of options this week for the Moneyline Underdog Round Robin. Probably could have done like 8 and just gone for retirement. Also might have been broke. But, never mind. We're going 5. We're leaving the other one in. Add the one I sent. We're going 5. Gosh, dang it. So
Let's go.
It'll be 26 legs. Add what I sent you in the text to the graphic. In the meantime, put up the pick every side. You'll have plenty of time. I'm going to be 15 more minutes on this or something. Okay, I just need to get that straight. This goes 4-1 because I added this one. I'll be a little bit perturbed, as they say, or used to say in the olden days. Okay, so we stopped on Nebraska, Oklahoma. This one, by the way, I don't have an opinion. Most of these I don't anymore at the current prices, but this is part of the exercise. I got to pick a side. You just get a glimpse of where my numbers at least lean. My true number is 22, taking 23. There's a 23 out there with Nebraska. Most of the market is 22.5 or 23. So for what it's worth, I think we're going to get to it actually for betting extraordinaire next hour. We're going to talk about the total in that game. But I did mention earlier in the week, for those that don't tune in later, and I'll dive in more, we're going first half over 31.5 to 32.5. We talked about it for those that missed it and can still get better or similar. Grab that. I preferred it to the full game. So anyway, we'll dive into a little bit more of that next show. Cincinnati minus the 3.5. Everybody's on Cincinnati. We've talked about it all week long. Look, my number is around there. I think there are concerns from a matchup perspective. Offensive line, Indiana, we know they couldn't run last year. One of the worst in the entire country. Now they're not pass protecting, over a 40% pressure rate, not only against Iowa, but Idaho. Like, Idaho is getting pressure. What's the Cincinnati D-line going to do with one of the better secondaries in the country on top of that? Good luck, Penix. I don't know. It's just going to be one that everyone's like, wow, I'm Cincinnati by 20. No surprise there. Everyone was right or everyone was wrong. Indiana beats them outright, something like that. I have no conviction. I'm not going to bet it, but 3.5, that's what I'm going to go with for this exercise. A&M 29.5. Look, backup quarterback taking over. Look, this should be like 34, but he looked so bad against Colorado, jumping in after King got hurt in the first couple plays. This is kind of an overreaction, and it was 26 earlier in the week. I believe it opened 25 or 26 at Circa. Took some time. It's still low, but obviously he's worse than King. He didn't win the job, and he did look really bad. So how much stock do you put into that? I'm hoping they can run the ball against freaking New Mexico. No good. Like, just go cover 29.5. Nothing I'm betting. Minnesota, we talked about during the week. I'm looking at the screen right now. +3 might be. No, there is. There's a 3. Okay. Minnesota +3. This is one, if you can get the 3s, which they've been going and bouncing back and forth. 3, 2.5, back to 3, back to 2.5. It's mostly 2.5 right now. I think +3 is a worthwhile buy. I think the game should be a round pick. We just talked about A&M, how they somehow looked good because of this backup quarterback. They played Colorado. So Colorado, the Buffs, hold A&M to 10 at home. Wow, maybe Colorado's good. I'm not so sure that's the case. I'm willing to bet that isn't, when you can get 3 points, potentially with Minnesota. No real opinion here on the next one. My number right at 7. So shop, you can get a 6.5. There's actually quite a few 6.5s on the Wyoming side, but nothing I'm too interested in. This one's weird. I think a lot of people are going to like Kansas State. From a sheer priors, numbers perspective, Kansas State's a slightly better team, and they're at home. But when you have like a QB injury, like this first one, we're talking A&M again. I'll reference it again. King goes out. We have 3.5 quarter sample of this backup. For Kansas State's sake, no Thompson last year. Look, the games when he played so far this year, plus like they beat number 3 Oklahoma last year. they just grade out way better than when he didn't play. And they played multiple games without him. I think there's a bigger sample than 3 quarters is what I'm getting at. You might have 5 or 6 games without Thompson comparing to life with Thompson on each side. I think he's a big deal. So I actually, if I had to bet this, would go Nevada at the -1.5. There's even one -1 now that went there. Let's see. Earlier this morning. At some point since we made the graphics, so I'll get to adjust if Nevada wins by exactly 1. That's actually going to be a push. But at the same time, if you like the other side, you can get +2. It's a little bit of a varying market. Purdue +7.5. I'll just keep fading Notre Dame. We've done it the last 2 weeks and been pretty easy wins in those cases. Wazoo, there's 1.8.5 at Circa. Most of the market is 8, 7.5, and Penny sitting 7 -117 on the USC side. So I'll take the 8.5, but surprised about the differentiating 7 versus 8.5. And by the way, USC fired Helton, if you didn't know. Could be an absolute mess. I think the general perspective, and this is one I didn't use for the round robin, but Wazoo I think is an okay option. It's probably in my top 10 if I had to, where you're trying to find these games where there's a little more, they're higher variance, and weirdness can like dictate results. And generally the discussion in media, I don't know, Qwan, if you've ever been a part of a team that fired the coach, but everyone always says, all right, well, Helton's out. The kids are going to play for the new coach. They're so what X and Y against the spread for the first game under our new coach. Like, that doesn't actually mean much. There's a chance USC is just a mess and Wazoo wins this game outright. My line in a vacuum on average is 8. So give me the 8.5 just because I can. But wouldn't bet it, but I think it's an okay money line shot if USC is just in shambles now. 15 on Florida. My number's 14.5. We talked about it plenty earlier in the week. Colin loves Florida, so I'll side with it anyways. Plus, I can get a half point better. But if you like the Alabama side, shop around. You can get 14 at a couple spots as well. So for what it's worth, FSU, there's a spot at 5, 4.5. Same thing. This is like a big overreaction. Someone called in. I wish I remembered all of the callers. We're getting a lot of new ones now. Football started. It might have been like Joey. Someone called in, liked Florida State earlier in the week, +6. I said, man, look, this line would have been like 3, maybe even a little lower if they had not lost last week to Jacksonville State on the like Hail Mary weirdness final play. An overreaction, and I think it's a game that, hint, hint, moneyline round robin's probably closer to a toss-up than the market implies just because they lost to an FCS team at the buzzer last week. And this is like do or die for Mike Norvell and his regime down there in Tallahassee. Like, I don't know. I think they got to get this. Plus, shout out Matt Lindemann if you're listening. I'll probably say this one more time on the show. He texted me this week and said, thoughts on Wake Forest 150-1 to win the ACC. So you know what that means. They're probably losing this week because he bet that FSU is going to win outright. All right, moving on. Next up, I believe, is it Kent State? Just double checking. Hold on. Yes. Okay. No opinion there other than I think it should be 22, 23.5. Give me the points. Ugly. La Tech, similarly ugly. 11.5. Give me the points, but nothing worth betting. This one's getting near betting range for me, and I liked Tulsa last week. I'm not anti-Tulsa, as everyone knows. One of my favorite plays last week we added against Okie State. Ohio State opened at Circa, I believe it was 31. I should probably check now, huh? Yes, 31. It's been bet down to 24.5 now. 24 is a relatively key number in that range. So if it gets to 24, I would actually lay it with the Buckeyes. I still think they have issues defensively, but Tulsa's offense isn't anything special. And Stroud just can't miss that many throws again, I feel like. And Tulsa's defense is good. It's maybe even better than Oregon's. But I think Ohio State had 612 yards against Oregon, so it wasn't like Oregon played them that well. Stroud just missed a lot of the big plays that would have resulted in scores. I'm getting close to actually liking a buy on the Buckeyes. If it gets to 24 for this exercise, we got to grade it at 24.5. Baylor, Kansas. I feel like Kansas is the team that very frequently it's an ugly up, got to take the points. And whenever I actually like the favorite, Kansas always covers. So I hate this game. I didn't want to pick it, but Baylor slight lean because my number's closer to 18. Take the 17.5. Toledo -14. That's one we talked about Monday. It's been bouncing back and forth all week, 14 to 14.5. I think that is bettable at 14. I think it should be 17. I think Colorado State's horrendous, as we also discussed last week, especially Friday with Vandy getting 7 and we used in the money line round robin, and it was the lone winner there with the other 3 losing. Northwestern, this one went to 3. Now it's back to 2.5. This one's also, I think, bettable. I like 2.5. I think just from a sheer numbers perspective, this should be closer to 5. My numbers, my projection. I know Duke's home, and it's kind of like a weird spot. Like Duke's fallen off a cliff the last year and a half. I just don't see where I can't get this to below a 3, no matter how I try. And now that it's back under a 3, I think that's a worthwhile bet for those that maybe missed it on Monday. And then we're seeing 3s until earlier today. Georgia Southern, Arkansas. By the way, shout out to TURT Sports. Someone on Twitter messaged me, and I don't even think I responded. Sorry, man. I was just skimming through some notifications. But someone called in and wanted to bet against Arkansas. I think they were taking the points to Georgia Southern. I was just like, holy cow, this Georgia Southern team with their 2 results looked absolutely atrocious. I didn't realize, and I looked after he sent this tweet, but he said their starter at quarterback was ineligible. I believe his name's Josh Tomlin. I looked this up a couple days ago. So Tomlin's his last name for sure. He'd been ineligible because of academics, and he actually missed the first 2 games. I was under the impression that the starting job was up in the air anyway. And so the other guy who's now going to be sitting and Tomlin's coming in, I'm not necessarily sure Tomlin's that much better. He played in 6 games last year and threw for 161 yards total, 0 TDs and 2 picks. He can kind of run a little bit. I just don't know. So that being said, you are right. Maybe he was going to be the starter. He's now eligible to play again. Maybe it's an improvement. I don't think it could be that big of an improvement. I still am very wary of Georgia Southern, but from a numbers perspective, it is a little high. That's the side I got to take here. Mississippi State -3. I saw this light up since I sent Qwan the rundown. There's some reduced juice 3.5s. I'll have to grade this 3.5. I get the half point on Nevada. I got to give it a half point. This will be graded at 3.5. I don't see any more 3s. So I hate it. My number's like right around 3.5 anyways. Nothing special, but Mississippi State going up, really a defense by far. Like Memphis, remember we talked about this a little bit. Seth Hennigan, freshman that's had to take over for Grant Gunnell, who was going to be the quarterback, transferred from Arizona. This is by far the best defense he's seen now this season. True freshman going up against an SEC-D. Good luck. I think that's probably the difference, probably why this moved up from 3 to 3.5, but not one I'm interested in actually betting. Arkansas State, give me the 17.5. Washington might absolutely stink. Lose to FCS team, get crushed by Michigan, embarrassed a few times. You can get 17.5 on, what's his name? Hatcher and Blackman, the like dual quarterback system that Arkansas State likes to run. By the way, if you really wanted to get super cute, this is probably like a top 10 take a money line shot. Arkansas State, like, are they better than you can get as high as plus 645 on the money line? I think they win this game outright. There's a chance Washington is just in that much of a shambled 2021 season that they lose this game outright. I didn't end up using it, but I actually think it's a consideration. We'll move on. We got like 12 minutes. I'll have to go a little quicker. Some of these I definitely don't have an opinion on. UTSA, they've looked good, but nothing. You usually don't want to lay double digits to Middle Tennessee State with UTSA, but my numbers had it at 14 or so. Liberty also another one. Take the 27. My number's 28. ECU, this is the one that moved against me from Monday at plus 9.5, went to 10. Now it's back to 9.5. So hopefully, the later moves Friday are usually more telling, more indicative of what the right side will be. We'll see where it closes tomorrow. There is a 10 in the market. So I wrote 9.5 out there. I have to give half a point for Mississippi State. I get a 10. There's one more 10 that's still in the market I see right here. So I'm going to take it. We'll adjust that. But plus 10 on ECU. I still think it's bettable, though, at 9.5, like I said. We talked about it on Monday. Marshall, congrats. You beat an FCS team and a Navy team that's absolutely horrific. And ECU's hung with App State. Should have probably beaten South Carolina. They lose at the buzzer to a field goal. Mike Houston coming over from James Madison, I think, has really improved the ECU program. I think there's definitely an opportunity there for a closer game, at least keeping it within the 10 or 9.5. Next up, real quick, Troy. This got crushed. Oh, there's still a 10. There's a ton of 11s now. This was like 10 across the board earlier. Someone bet it since right before the show started, essentially. But give me the 10. FIU, that's ugly, but there's a 21. I have this right at 20. I think that's fine. Georgia State, this was one that we also broke down. A few shops just went to 4, so we're going to get a 4 on Georgia State. There's still some 4.5s and 5s, but this is one that was way lower. We talked about it Monday, but it had moved Monday and it had gone to 4. I had this closer to 6, so I like the Georgia State side, despite them looking pretty bad. We just talked about Utah. There are 7.5s on Utah now. I will be adjusting that. We'll get another half point on Utah. One of the callers called in and also took them. South Carolina, man, up to 32 now, some spots. I don't know what to expect because Georgia just absolutely crushed UAB despite playing backup quarterbacks. And we were trying to do this with Pikachu when we talked over the total. And he's like, well, Bennett's not 100%, but he's probably going to play. JT Daniels, no point in him playing. How do you value and grade out the backup and the difference between Bennett and JT Daniels efficiently anyway, and then like an 80% Bennett? It's just tough. I think defensively, South Carolina can at least limit Georgia to some extent. Give me the 32 or 31.5. We talked about this one earlier. Penn State, like them, -4.5. Utah State, this is one that's pretty close to a buy for me in general. If you can get 10, it's a bet. You can't. +9.5 is the best. But Air Force, who did they beat? It was a Lafayette FCS game, and then they also beat a Navy team that just can't score. Similarly to Marshall earlier on. Was it Marshall? Was I talking about earlier? I need to make sure I'm not misspeaking. Yeah, Marshall goes 49-7. Now Air Force beats Navy 23-3. A little bit of too much love, I think, for an Air Force team that hasn't played anybody. And Utah State's offense has started looking a lot better than people anticipated entering the season. Give me the 9.5. UVA +8.5. This is a popular one. Also another option, I think, for Moneyline Round Robin that's probably going to be popular. I didn't end up using it myself. They beat UNC, a better UNC team last year. In first year, Brennan Armstrong at quarterback. Now he's a year better. UNC's not as good. Difference being they're playing at Chapel Hill. I'll take the points, but I didn't end up using it for Moneyline. I know someone that bet Central Michigan Moneyline, and I would actually agree, numbers-wise, +20 is too tall. He got almost 10-1, but, big but, they're not flying in, and Qwan, I don't know how often you had to travel for playing games. They're not flying in to play LSU until tomorrow because apparently, because of hurricane stuff, electricity in Louisiana and the hotels, a bunch of them don't have it. So they were going to fly in today. Now they're flying in tomorrow, day of the game, to play the game, which is pretty brutal, right? So my number, I had to just say +20, but stay the hell away. Like,
oh, my goodness. Yeah.
That's a pretty sick spot when you're already so inferior to your opponent.
We took a bus trip one game to
day
Indianapolis, and day of. And it was like,
not
we got
good.
smoked.
There you go. There you have it. All right, we got like 7 or 8 more. UNT +13. My number's 12. Just taking 13 because I have to. Vandy, let's go back to the well with them. Stanford, I still don't think is very good. The USC game, that result, weird. Vandy, they stink, yes, but 13's too tall. I'd bet that if I got to 14 for what it's worth. Texas, I'm still bullish. Texas, as bad as they looked last week, 25's a little short. Not betting it, but got to go with that side. Tulane getting 14.5 against our favorite quarterback in the country, Matt Corral, just because there's a 14.5 or 2 out there, and it should probably be right at 14. By the way, Georgia State moving to 4 a lot more places. So someone against me there. Going to get the 4 at least on the exercise here. Next one up, we talked about this. Okie State +5, down to 3.5. Still like the 3.5. I think it should be just under a field goal versus my projections. ASU -3.5. Hate the BYU spot. Again, first time they beat Utah since the year I was married in 2009. Playing a better, more talented team now. Good luck. I like ASU. There's a reason it used to be 2 and now it's 4 a lot of spots. 3.5 for this. UNLV up to 33.5. Pikachu was coming in wanting to bet 31.5 yesterday for tail ends. Now I'm getting 2 more points. I got to side with them. Maybe they can get 2 stops and cover that one. UCLA, little homer. Prefer the over in the game. We talked about it plenty this week. 11 points. I feel like that's wrong. I feel like it's the wrong side. I think Fresno State covers, but look, my number was more like 12.5, so whatever. And then this one, it's a spot. Oh, geez. No more 6.5s. Okay, I got to grade this at 7, so that one will go against me. I'll have to lay 7. But San Jose State, really good. Generally going into Hawaii, tough travel, obviously going to the island. San Jose State got a bye. They got 2 weeks to prep for this. Hawaii hasn't covered in either of their 3 games. They're atrocious on defense. I think San Jose State will be able to just take care of business week to week and not as early in the season. Maybe it's a worse spot for San Jose State, but not surprised now this is up to 7 across the board. So I'll change that to 7. That's the rundown. 2 minutes, going to give you guys the money line round robin. Go ahead and post it up. Going to go quick. We've talked about some of the games regardless already, if you got it up there. We added Utah State at the end. Look, Air Force, they can defend the option. They've done it historically. They play Air Force plenty, and I think the market has overreacted to, and I'm starting at the bottom, obviously. People maybe are confused. Bottom, we added USU. I texted Qwan mid-show. I think they reacted to beating Lafayette and a really bad Navy team. Air Force probably isn't as good as their results kind of look these last 2 weeks. I also just like the increased variance in a game that there is an option team, slowing down, fewer possessions. Give me nearly 3-1 on USU. ECU's the one that, look, the 10 back to 9.5 most spots in the market. I just don't think Marshall's very good, and I trust ECU, Mike Houston, formerly James Madison. He's improved this team, and I liked how they looked against App State. I liked how they looked against South Carolina. It's 2 losses, but this is like quite an inferior team now that they're facing from a talent perspective that I think is a little bit overrated. So I'll take a shot at plus 320. Florida State, I mentioned earlier, like this is like their do or die. Got to beat Wake. Reaction to losing to an FCS team. Plus 175 is just too tall. I think my fair price on a money line is in the 130s. So it's just incredible value still. And the next 2 similar teams that are plus 120 that I think should be dead pick'ems, basically 50-50 games. So give me Vautech and Minnesota. Round that out. So it's 5 legs, similar to the first week we did this. It's a total of 26 legs with 5 teams. $100 a leg, pays 91.6 thousand. So we sweep the board. We're cashing over 91K.
Somebody go make some money.
We're up 132 legs right now. We made about 143 after the first week, and then we lost 11, only winning 1 last week. So up 132x. Gonna go just cash another 916x real quick on this one. All right, that's the show. Whew. That's always the hardest part of my week, is talking through every single dang game, then explaining the round robin. But I enjoy it. It just, I can feel my. I need a water. Is what I'm trying to say.
There's a standing ovation at home.
Last thing before you get me a water. $100 goes into the jar. You got to take your 2 shots. Then betting extraordinaire will be next. 4 players, day 3, chance to win 25K. Also a chance to cash $200. We'll see if Qwan can nail these. Paper football. He's been practicing. Oh gosh, I didn't even get high enough. He went 0 for 2 the other day too. Ooh, at least you had the distance. That went all the way to the casting couch over there. I don't know how you got it that far, but well done. All right, appreciate everyone that tuned in, stuck around. Betting Extraordinaire will be up in a few minutes. Separate link. Really, 4 people on a day 3. We've never had this many contestants through to day 3. It will be a college football question pick. We'll see if they can pick correctly. But yeah, chance at 25,000 and at least $255 for getting through to today. Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you later next week, Monday, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. We'll be back.